Breaker 19. Breaker 19. Over. CB Radio Talk. Trucker 19. Is this thing on? I don't know any other CB talk. And I assume within about 20 years' time, nobody else will know any CB talk. Yeah, I know we're all lamenting the death of CB radio and trucker culture, but progress. Welcome back, everybody. I went and rested my voice a little bit. Doesn't sound like it. It's still pretty hoarse. Ate some food, and reassessed my priorities. And what I've concluded is I'm back. I've refreshed some products here as best as I can, but it is important to know that I am high right now. Very, because our 1,000 milligram tincture is sitting right about that level. That's not even showing up on the camera at all. Right about there. I'll let you judge for yourself how full that is. Okay, but I will go ahead and take some more because it's 420. It's what you're supposed to do. Happy 420 also to all of my West Coast friends. It is now officially 420 on 420 for anybody on the western coast of the northern hemisphere. But that's probably not true because there are probably parts of like Mexico that are the west coast but aren't in the same time zone. I don't know that for sure, but one can speculate. So we're doing a tincture, about 500 milligrams down, about 500 to go. Let's go ahead and give ourselves some drops, and let's see if I can continue to be able to speak in the manner that I'm speaking now, which is waffles somewhere between coherence and blathering. Keep it solid, keep it real. Hello, welcome. What's up to you, my man? Happy 420. Glad you could join in. Doing some tincture right now, shall we? The holiday. Sooner Christmas, as they say. Ooh, nice, man. Hello, you hot skin? You hot skin? Yeah, it did. Part 2, though. Part 2. That's Michael Floyd. One drop. Oh, we're gonna wait a little bit longer. We'll talk about life and how it's not it. We'll say that. We'll say that. So, nah, tincture. Very good radio. Very good radio. How long have you been? Long enough. Hello. The Inferno, welcome. I am also baked AF. About 500 milligrams of tincture in. So far in the day, we've done 2 of these, 1 of these, 1 of these, and 1 of these. We're about to double up on all of those and do some more tincture as well. Everything's fun. Everything's exciting. Here on the Weed Stream, the world a little bit less certain right now. Hello, Green Dino. Welcome. And it looks like we have another newbie with Hates Me. Nah, man, I love you. Hates me? Nah. No. There's no hate here. Green Dino asks the strange question of, do I eat yogurt or drink it? Neither is the answer. Curious question. Michael Floyd also asks, Michael, who, by the way, welcome, is enjoying, welcome back, I think, is enjoying some Alien Labs. We had a lot of folks enjoying Alien Labs today. Popular brand. I've had them, like them too. So glad you're enjoying their baklava. And you're wondering if tincture hits faster. It does hit faster than edibles, provided you take it sublingually under the tongue in that obnoxious fashion like I just did. It starts to hit, for me, really in as little as about 20 minutes, and then really starts to crescendo at about 45. It does peak earlier than edibles, and it seems to not be as long-lasting as edibles, but it's not too dissimilar, outside the fact that it's not as long-lasting, but it is more quickly acting. So Michael also asked if I like the Grateful Dead. Believe it or not, I've got a look like I should be a deadhead. It looks like I should worship at the feet of Mr. Garcia. But I could not tell you the name of a single Grateful Dead song. Maybe that's the point of the Grateful Dead, because nobody knows any Grateful Dead songs. They just get high and pretend like they know. I don't know. Not to disparage any Grateful Dead fans. You guys were the original counterculture stoners. Jerry Garcia, rest in peace. Not a fan. Not a hater. Just don't listen to him. Jam bands, despite my proclivity for weed, my desire for jam sessions is not as high as you might imagine. Except I'm a fish guy. I love fish. I've never heard a fish song either. Couldn't tell you the name of a fish song. Michael Floyd says, he's listening to some jam bands, presumably, that are good. Ripple, Easy Wind. Ooh, Easy Wind sounds like the name of a kind of fart on a fart board, like next to chutes and splatters. There'd be Easy Wind, and it would go, or like, just very soft. That's an easy win to me. Green Dino says he's wondering aloud, I guess, why tinctures are less popular than edibles, seem more portable and discreet. Both of those are good and valid observations, Green Dino. One, I think some of it is just a matter of tradition. Especially if you're a newcomer to edibles, it's like, you've always heard about pot brownies or a cookie or whatever, and that seems less scary than like something medicinal, like a tincture, right? It comes out of a dropper. It seems medicinal. It seems, I don't know, more intimidating in some way than a Korova cookie. So that would be my guess as to why. Also, they do seem to be more, they used to be more expensive, but the price of tinctures has actually come down quite a bit, like even in the past year. So that's not so much of a reason. I have actually, tincture stock is rising, especially now that people are rebranding syrup, what used to be THC syrup, just sticky candy, sweet flavored THC cough syrup type stuff. That has just been rebranded as tincture, even though it's the same stuff as it was before. And I'm seeing that in a lot of places, and it seems to be pretty popular. So it's just the old like cannabis style, high THC concentration, thick like, ice snow cone syrup, but with weed in it. And now they're calling it tincture. So I do think it's getting more popular. Michael Floyd says, oh, those are songs that you were listing, not the name of other bands. Thank you, Michael, and that makes total sense. And Default asks, Wheats, what's your favorite way to consume cannabis? Edibles, and then from there it goes in a variety of different ways. We were just talking about tincture. Probably on the whole, tincture would be my favorite way of doing weed. I do prefer the slightly like more delayed onset of edibles and the longer lasting effects of traditional like baked good edibles. But tincture, I appreciate in, as somebody mentioned, its discreetness. It's so easy to just, take a lot of THC really quickly. I can see why that would be a downside for some people. It's very easy to, this is 1,000 milligrams of THC in this little bottle right here. So for somebody who's not paying attention, they do a dropper full of this and have never done an edible before, they're going to be, curled up in their bed for 48 hours. So you do have to be careful with it. But for somebody like me who has a high tolerance, really enjoys very high THC products, this is so much better than eating a ton of cookies or drinking some sugary drink or, name any kind of thing where you're going to have to eat a bunch of either sugar or any number of things that are laden with all kinds of bad stuff and calories. Whereas tincture, for such an imperceptible amount of liquid, you can get very high, and I appreciate that. It sucks, like 100 milligrams of THC spread out over 10 cookies. It's rough. So, tincture, on the whole, is probably my favorite way to ingest THC. Great question, long answer. Non-edible is my second favorite, would probably be Volcano. Third favorite would be concentrates. I actually don't have my Volcano here. My bags, my Volcano, the big plastic black bags, have all gotten too grimy and threw the last one away. And things are hard to come by right now, so hopefully soon. Okay. Where are we at? Oh, Brother Dank is suggesting some good old DMB before these crowded streets era. That I can only think, and I'm sorry, Brother Dank, they just cannot help but think of The Office, the skit in The Office where, not the skit, the episode of The Office where Nardog goes to a roller rink, and he's like, he goes to the DJ at the roller rink. He goes, play some DMB, deep cuts only, deep cuts only. And the guy goes, plays like Crash into You, and he goes, that's good enough. And he gets really excited. You remind me of him in a sweet way, just like he was a sweet guy. He made some mistakes, but don't we all? Nardog. So yes, what were we talking about? The Office, Nardog, something, and boy, it is hard to keep track of things. Thoughts, chat. I can't even keep track of the chat window anymore. There it is. It's hiding over here, man. You son of a bitch. Sneaky son of a bitch. Oakley dokley. Sorry guys, I don't suffer for my art. And it's not even art. Boy, there's been a lot of chat since the last time I talked about Dave Matthews Band. DMB, Dave Matthews Band. There's a guy who plays a saxophone. Don't you just love a band who has a saxophonist? Is this... That's probably a very poor impression of how one actually plays a saxophone. But maybe a pretty good impression of how one milks a very large cow. Kenny G. That's the only other thing I know about saxophones is Kenny G and the guy in Dave Matthews Band. I dare anybody to name anything else. One other fact about saxophones, and Bill Clinton doesn't count because Bill Clinton lies. Thank you, anonymous voice. So yes, saxophones. Is that what we were talking about? Bill Clinton, Kenny G, Dave Matthews Band, saxophones, alto, tenor. Fuck. So where I went to school in high school, band kids were interesting people, and I don't know where I was going with that. Happy 420, everybody. By the way, it's just wonderful to be here. Wonderful to be talking with everybody and just having a chat and saying it's 420. The day. Hitler's birthday. And also the Columbine shooting? A day for celebration. Maybe those two things are related. I had never even thought about that before. But also, both of the things could be urban legends, and I could just be spreading fake news. Man, where were we? Columbine, Hitler's birthday, saxophones, and 420. Oh, happy 420, everybody. Also Hitler's birthday and Columbine. I'm going to see how long I can maintain dead air. Probably a much longer time than you can. Boy, I'm usually not one to just like be at a loss for things to say, but I'm thinking like, wow, I think I said everything I need to say ever. Like, unless there's like a good topic to talk about. Oh shit, there's chat. Oh my God. Chat. What a savior. I've forgotten all about you. You guys have been stoic and giving me all kinds of great stuff. Fuck. Michael Floyd says, edibles make him feel sick. Whew. I can still read. Too much sugar. Well, that's why tincture should be for you. Michael Floyd, give it a shot if you haven't yet. Try some Mary's Medicinals. It's a usually pretty affordable brand. Pretty good stuff. Brother Dank, Charlie Parker. Don't even remember what that is. But thank you for Charlie Parker. It's probably actually in reference to something that I can't remember. 13. Can you tell us about your very first videos and how you got started in YouTube? Wow. 13. What an interesting question. Well, how did I get started? My very first videos and how did I get started on YouTube? Well, I was doing a lot of weed, and I had uh, a lot of toys already, and I was like, wait, no, let me mythologize more. Let me make it sound better. Hold on, let me mythologize, like any good person should do. Make it sound like a more grandiose story. Let me think about this. Guys, I grew up loving edibles. Since I was 5 or 6, I learned to love edibles. My whole family, we're an edible family, and they sort of brought us together, like as a family, as a community. Edibles were sort of the thing that I don't know. I don't want to say I constructed a life around, but it was a thing that brought meaning to my life, and not just my life, but my whole community's life. And then I started noticing that the quality of edibles started deteriorating. People weren't being as honest as they were when I was, growing up. What went from an honest man's game and a simple, humble way of life, it started to get there was I noticed greed and corporate influence in the once very parochial and sweet world of edibles, and something. My grandfather died, maybe, and he died of something, maybe, I don't know, and so that led me to say no more. Enough is enough, and these companies, they can't do this to us anymore. We have rights. And what did they do to my grandfather? We'll figure it out. And on that day, I was like, I'm going to spread the word about what it means to be somebody who eats a lot of weed. And that's how Weeds was born. And it's a humble beginning. It's not a fancy origin. I'm no Steve Jobs. It wasn't in my garage, but I'd like to think it was an honorable beginning. It was we started for noble reasons, and I dedicate this channel to this day to my grandfather, who died of something that we'll invent later. And that's the mythology of Wheats. Wow. Sounds good enough to be a Fortune 500 company. So, great question, 13. But the real answer is, I was doing a lot of weed, edibles. I loved edibles, loved edibles. But I really was getting quite annoyed with the fact that quality seemed to be all over the place, and there were clearly people trying to scam people by selling products that weren't as advertised, that were, exaggerating their claims. I got really annoyed with that, so I was like, oh, I will do what any good millennial does. I'll self-aggrandize and turn the story into myself. And I said, I'll tell people on YouTube about what edibles are good and what edibles are bad. And that is the story of Wheats Reviews. And my grandfather did die. Okay. Michael Floyd says, David Gilmour played the sax on all the Floyd albums. And I just talked mad shit about saxophonists, and there's a saxophonist for Pink Floyd. Shame on me. Well, hello, Ryan. Welcome, Ryan. Welcome, Joe. So good to have you both. Glad you could be here on this 420. Shots. What's up, Shots? Welcome. Happy 420. I'm doing really well, man. How are you doing today on this weirdest of days? Well, there's a surprising amount of discussion about saxophones still. Who would have thought? Ethan says, the background is tripping me out. Mission accomplished. I was getting tired of the tropical beach theme. I was like, what's something a little trippier? And what's trippier than the Mandelbrot set? A lot of things, but it's pretty trippy. Fractals. Let's do a dab, guys, to celebrate 420. Brandon M. Yo, happy 420 from Oakland, California. Well, happy 420 right back to you from Long Beach, California. Your brothers to the south. Beautiful city up there. Jude, hello. How long have I been alive? Oh, how long have I been live? Not how long have I been alive. Two different questions. I have been live for 25 minutes, 26 minutes now on the dot. Okay. And how long have I been alive? Too long. Brandon M says, appreciate it, brother. Man, Brandon, I appreciate you hanging out with us here tonight. Are you enjoying anything fun today, Brandon? Smoking anything good? Eating any edibles? Dabbing on anything especially tasty? Let us know. Okay, Brother Dink says, yo, Long Beach, is Sublime the best band of the 90s or what? There's a lot of Sublime love here in Long Beach. They even have they're associated with some kind of weed company. Sticky Vape? I don't know if they're just their Michael Jordan and Haynes sponsor, or if they're actually Whoopi Goldberg weed entrepreneur themselves. But Sublime is associated with, believe it or not, some weed company in Long Beach. Very strange. And the even weirder one is that Snoop Dogg, is also from Long Beach, and he also has several products that are marijuana based, which is very strange. Snoop Dogg. Water! Oh my God, thank you. Hand from outside. Wow, amazing, thank you. You guys need this shit to oh, I'm forgetting all about this dab. Because of the water. You need that shit to survive. Not a lot of people know that. Don't listen to any asshole who says, you gotta drink your 8 cups of water a day. That's the power of people just parroting shit that they've heard on the internet. But don't actually... To anybody who's ever said that to me, do you know how much 8 cups of water is? A cup of water is generally accepted to be 8 ounces. I'm not a good mather, but 8 times... Oh, fuck my anus. I dropped my dab hole. Now it's getting cool. Get off. Oh, God. I'm running out of time, guys. What were we talking about? Something about dabs? Jude says, darn, I missed the beginning. I'm sorry you missed it, Jude, but I'm glad you are here now, man. Very happy to have you. You haven't missed the party, and the great thing is, it's only going to get more absurd from here on out. Let me finish this. I have to speed round some stuff here soon. we were talking about Sublime at some point? That's crazy. Default Skin says Long Beach dispensaries are too overpriced in my opinion. True. Yes. You can certainly find better deals in Orange County or in the city of Los Angeles. That's about how much of the 1,000 milligram tincture we have left. You could probably explain some of my trouble at, getting out sentences, formulating ideas. Except if you give me the right idea. So, Ryan. Hello, Ryan says, today I'm enjoying Plug and Play's Fire OG and Jack Herrera. Thanks for the Plug and Play review. Thanks for enjoying it, man. I hope you are enjoying that Plug and Play Fire OG. I am pretty sure I gave it a rapturous review, so I hope I didn't lead you astray. I still love it myself, but you can let me know if you had a different experience. Joe says, have you ever heard of MUHA meds? I have not, but somebody else asked me about them, Joe. You're not the first one, and anytime I hear a product named twice, I get more intrigued. Just because there are so many different brands and products and companies and startups that it's hard to keep track. And once you hear something mentioned a couple of times, it's a reason to suspect that there might be something to it. Tincture. Here we go. Oh. Sublingual. About a minute. I didn't do too much, so I can still even kind of talk. Oh, Brother Dink says, don't you hate it when you drop your dab on the carpet? Yes. It has ruined a couple minutes of my life. Oh, shit! I'm leaking. Ooh. Alright, guys. Almost done. Getting there. I just got too bored. I gotta go with it. Whew. Okay. Brother Dank, yes. It hasn't happened too often, thankfully, but there can't be many worse substances to have fall on carpet than marijuana concentrates. Thankfully, this fell on my handy little table I've got here. Spared my carpet, my pristine, just utterly. You could eat off my carpet, and you could eat off of it. You wouldn't want to, but you could. That's not an endorsement of doing it. And as a matter of fact, I have 3 dogs, and there's nothing immaculate about my carpet at all. So don't do it. Not that you'll ever be in that position. I hope. Not that I hope. Come on over. After this is over with. But who knows? Weed. Michael Floyd says... Michael is mixing some... He's crossing streams, blending up some concentrates, and he's asking for my opinion on mixing weed. I like mixing weed like I like mixing my metaphors. Man, wouldn't that have been good if I had come up with like a really good mixed metaphor for that? So the answer is yes. It doesn't bother me. I don't know if I've ever blended concentrates, really. I definitely blended different flower strains many a time. And it's great. It'll put hair on your chest. Joe says, It's very good concentrate. Their oil carts are phenomenal. Joe, oh, referring to the MUHA meds. Well, thank you, Joe. And thank you to whoever else suggested it. I will definitely be on the lookout. As I said, anytime I hear something more than once, usually a pretty good indicator that there's something to do that. So, MUHA meds. It is very hard for me to understand if I'm supposed to read that as Marvel Cinematic Universe. Joe says, have you ever heard of botanist extracts? I don't think so. I'm guessing that is another concentrate brand of some kind. I don't think I've ever heard of them. Are they good, Joe? Michael also wants to know why some weed flower is kind of trash now. Well, I think it probably depends more, Michael, on where you're shopping than all weed. I don't think I've noticed any decline in quality of stuff in my area, but maybe there's like some kind of where I'm not sure where in California you are, Michael, but there could be any number of sort of local or statewide factors, especially recently, that would be affecting the quality of your local weed. But hopefully, things will turn around at some point. Oh, you're in downtown LA. Okay, so you're in weed Mecca. How is DTLA right now, by the way, Michael? I mean, not that downtown LA is the busiest or, most pedestrian flowing of cities, but what does it look like out there right now? I mean, I haven't been to Los Angeles since, like, downtown LA in quite a while, but even out of Long Beach in a couple of months. I did go to Universal Studios like 2 weeks before the stay-at-home order, and that was kind of a trip. Not a lot of people want to go to Universal Studios when there's a pandemic afoot. So that was interesting, but I have not left my little corner of Long Beach since this has all gone down. And it's pretty residential out here, so it's not as much traffic, and a spooky increase in sirens. Thank you, producer. We did also go to DTLA. We went to Chinatown on Lunar New Year in February, and that was, as you can probably surmise, especially bizarro. Giving at that time was sort of the zenith of xenophobia, the height of Chinese sort of racist outbursts, or as people were blaming, not buying food from their Chinese restaurant, somehow assuming that because a person was a first or second generation Chinese immigrant that they may have the coronavirus. Stupid, dumb, but it actually made the Lunar New Year a lot of fun because it wasn't busy. It was quite serene, peaceful. There were like places to sit. You could see the whole parade from any vantage. You had the pick of spots. It was a pretty pleasant day. Boy, knowing what I know now, would have cherished it even more, I think. Brother Dank said, first of all, Jamal, hello Jamal, welcome. Jamal is dabbing on some live hash rosin. That sounds pretty good, man. Glad you're joining us here, and happy 420 to you as well, man. I am quite under the influence, so I apologize if I'm, a little loopy at this point. And I think I've skipped a lot of chat. My apologies. Brother Dank says, in Louisiana, we have more than one person doing life over a gram bag. Brother Dank, are you in Louisiana? I am so sorry if that's the case. Louisiana. I think I might have said this before. So, one, apologize to people from Louisiana. Two, apologize to people from Mississippi. And three, maybe it's time to go ahead and get fiery and say, I do think Louisiana should change their state motto from nobody knows to at least we're not Mississippi. And as far as slogans go, it's pretty compelling. Because, at least you have, at least Louisiana has some culture, some interesting history. Mississippi, well, Mississippi has, boy, I'm trying to think if I can think of a single positive image, association, memory, concept, idea, notion, person, product, really just anything that came positive from Mississippi. I'm sure the way I feel about Mississippi is that they come to the other states, and when they come to like California, they're not sending their finest people. They're sending their murderers, they're sending their rapists. I mean, I assume some are fine people, but I don't want those Mississippians in my America. I mean, let's be honest. You're much more likely to get, murdered by a Mississippian than you are from somebody selling mortar. So maybe we should just talk about building a wall around Mississippi, Do us all a lot of good. They just take money, right? They don't. What does Mississippi contribute? We can keep the river. You know what? We'll even change the name of the river. It's probably for the best. Because unlike the land of Mississippi, the river does actually provide some commercial benefit to the world. My point being that Mississippi provides nothing other than misery for the world. Except if you're a mosquito or a racist piece of shit, then Mississippi's probably pretty good. Or maybe if you have a lot of self-hatred, or maybe if your parents and grandparents lived there and told you it's the best place to live, and maybe you're an unimaginative fuck and just parrots everything people said back to you, and that's why Mississippi is the best place to live, because you have no critical thinking skills. Could that be it? Could that be why there would be anybody who thinks that Mississippi does anything worthwhile? You know what? Fuck Alabama, too. I mean, let's be honest. If we're going to shit talk Mississippi, Alabama, you are a piece of shit, too. Alabama, the state, garbage. Let's be entirely honest with ourselves. Top to bottom, as a state, collectively, Alabama is shit. It's just, it's excrement. I'm not trying to say like the land is bad. The land's fine. It's great. I'm sure there are even beautiful spots in Alabama. There are beaches and shit. Wonderful. I'm saying that what Alabama contributes, I'm saying Alabama, it's not, I'm not trying to disparage the land. I'm saying it's the majority of the people in Alabama. Again, I don't want to say Alabama is not the land, the actual geographical boundaries are not bad. That would be a terrible thing to say. That would be a really awful thing to say. What I'm trying to say, and please understand, I apologize if anybody, I'm not trying to. It's not the geographical boundaries. It's the people who live in Alabama and think that Alabama is a worthwhile collection of, that the idea of Alabama, not the geographical boundaries, but that the idea of Alabama is good. That is what I think is disgusting and reprehensible and essentially human excrement. Like, yeah, if you're proud of the history of your state of Alabama, if you like anything about Alabama other than the fact of like the ground, the actual geographic stuff, like the hills and the beautiful beaches and the lowlands and the marshes, that's cool. But if you like, the history of my state of Alabama, my Alabama pride, then how could you not be less than human? I mean, you have to be a piece of shit. So that's how I feel about Alabama, Mississippi, and a few others. But how could you not? I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be really honest with ourselves. If we're being super honest with ourselves, we would be better off if we just kind of took some scissors to the old Mercator projection of the United States and just kind of went to that little southeast area and just went and just kicked it right off into the Atlantic. But that's just me. Actually, I love the Southeast. I love the people there. They're all great people. They all, it's just a difference of opinions. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with their worldview or nothing fatalistic about their mindset. And they're certainly not going to doom us all through their ignorance and self-centered ways. It's just a difference of opinions, man. Global warming, just a difference of opinions. Fuck, dude. Be tolerant. Be tolerant. Be tolerant. Okay, says, boy, I'm sorry for that, guys. What were we talking about? Alabama. Roll Tide, let's go. Default Skin. What's your opinion on under-the-table weed shops, like around the Compton area? I don't have a problem with black market shops, gray market shops, as long as they are not trying to hide that fact from the people that are buying from them. And as long as everybody knows the risks going in and nobody is trying to deceive anybody, I don't care. Like, weed has always been illegal, and it seems crazy to me that, just arbitrarily now, at some point, people who have been going to jail for it for a long time should just start saying, we're so appreciative of you letting us do this thing that we've been doing because we know it's harmless and even beneficial in some ways for so many years. Now let us reward you with ample taxes. I'm actually, please understand, I am actually a supporter of cannabis taxes. I think they're great. I think the money goes to great things. I'm pro-tax guy. I'm a weirdo. I like taxes. But I don't begrudge anybody for going to a gray market shop to save some money. It's weed. It's still federally illegal. I mean, you could still, if you smoke weed in a national park, you can still go to federal prison. So, until we sort of begin to, have to deal with those kind of contradictions, do whatever you want. Just as long as nobody is trying to deceive anybody, cool. Tardigrade says, welcome back, Tardigrade, by the way. I told you I might be back. I'm glad to be here. Glad to see you back as well. Did you see that Georgia is opening all kinds of stuff back up? I didn't know that Georgia had also... Georgia had always been... the kid that... from the family that you knew just couldn't be helped. He was the one kid that you thought, maybe if you just tutored him enough, if you just gave him enough attention, if you believed in him enough, he could turn it around. And it's really sad to now see that Georgia is saying, hold my beer, Florida. Woof. Okay. Jude said, he's being honest. I'm not from the USA, so I'll take his high word for it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Always don't take anybody's word for anything ever, especially mine. I appreciate you saying that. But I have an agenda just like anybody. That being said, I really do think we should just go ahead and carve out about 8 states, make them just eject them from the union. Okay, Isaiah, good to see you, man. No, I know you were here earlier. Glad you made it back. Good to see you. Tardigrade says, I used to live in the South and have family there. It's just a cultural thing. I don't think it will change. Yes, Tardigrade, I have family there as well. And it is a cultural thing. And I don't think it can change. Yes, it seems pretty intractable. But then again, the one true constant and the only true constant is that things will change. And the South at different times has been the most progressive parts of the country. But also the South has always been the most manipulated part of the country. Like the South has always been used politically, and they never seem to catch on. But they also had hookworm for 100 years, and everybody thought they were stupid. But it was just that they walked around in human shit and had worms crawl up their feet. That's it. Hookworm. Isn't that a crazy thing? That's one of those like crazy stories. You would think, why don't we teach that in American history? There was, for like a century, well, maybe not that long, certainly around Civil War and after the Civil War and into the early 20th century, there was this stereotype of the lazy, dumb Southerner as them just being like weak, lazy, feeble-minded people. And they were like made fun of as this stereotype of like, oh, these dumb, borderline mentally handicapped Southerner. Like that was the stereotype. The crazy thing is, it was true. It was 100% true. It was for a sad reason, but for a shocking number of years, the South had a hookworm epidemic. I mean, just like 95% plus of people in the South had hookworm because they would walk around barefoot and it is transmitted through fecal matter through the feet. And so all children in the South were riddled with hookworms, which led to insane malnourishment, which led them to be lazy and kind of dumb. And it wasn't until, I can't remember, sometime in the early 20th century, I think, that somebody's like, oh, all these people have fucking worms. And then there was a massive government effort to deworm the southern United States. I can understand why I was never taught that because I lived in the South. And if there's one thing all Americans are comfortable with in their education, it's forgetting the uncomfortable parts. But yeah, that's the thing, is the people in the South were stupid because they walked in shit. And the shit gave them worms. And the worms made them stupid and lazy. Amen. The South. America. AD. That's your disgusting history lesson for the day. If you want to know another one, just give me a topic. Isaiah is high as hell right now. Me too, man. Jude. Man, thank you, Jude. I appreciate that happy, nice comment there. Wow. Dylan, welcome, man. Cheers from Illinois. Welcome, our Chicago brethren. Well, you may not be Chicago, but our Midwest beacon, our beautiful friends in at Lake Michigan. Jude says, poor stupid people. To be fair, it wasn't their fault at that time. But then again, it's really hard also to be sympathetic to Southerners, to people who, had no problem thinking of people as property, even after it was outlawed. So hard to be very sympathetic to those people, but their kids were innocent, and their kids were the ones who were affected the most. Hookworm. It sucks. But that's why we have deworming agents like ivermectin. Worms. Parasites, man. Parasites are so fascinating. And all kinds of parasites, parasitic wasps. Just what a fascinating way to evolve. Even better, Jude. That's a better way to condemn them. Bad. The South. Well, speaking of kind of on topic, my wife and I finally started Watchmen on HBO just a couple days ago. Oh man, I don't know what took me so long to watch it. Love Watchmen, like Watchmen. You know, the actual graphic novel. I'm that nerd, like before the what's his name movie, Zack Snyder. I'm a Watchmen reader who didn't understand why people thought Rorschach was the good guy, which, not to tell you how to interpret a story, but if you read Watchmen and you think that Rorschach is the hero of this story, well, I might have some bad news for you. But, whatever. So, but I did. We started watching the Watchmen HBO series, which is a sequel to the Watchmen graphic novel that is set in modern day. The graphic novel was set in, what was modern day at the time, the 80s. Just like anything from Alan Moore, it doesn't have his name on it. It still has the artist Dave Gibbons' name on it. Anyway, it took me a very long time to watch it, even though I knew I would love it. We've watched the first 3 or 4 episodes, and it is quite something. Oh boy. Whew. Yes. So, enjoy the Watchmen. Damon Lindelof, the showrunner of Watchmen. What a weird dude. What a weird, I don't understand his output as a creative type person. Maybe we'll have a Damon Lindelof for it. Who knows? Just a second after this. Tardigrade says, thoughts on flower versus dabbing versus vapes. Sometimes I think flower is the only place where you get the highest quality experience and variation in strain. Great question. So Tardigrade, I am kind of a Philistine in terms of differentiating the finer aspects of weed. I'm no weed sommelier. Strain differences I can hardly tell outside of a taste profile, but I don't really notice a lot of effects from strain to strain. I notice potency and taste, and that's pretty much it. So, as personally, my preference for those, out of all of those, would probably be vapes first, but only as a matter of convenience. They all have their ups. I like dabbing the best, as it's the most efficient. It's the easiest way to get a lot of weed. A pretty high tolerance, so I have to smoke a lot or do whatever. Dabbing's pretty effective, but it's pretty harsh and it's involved, and I'm clumsy at best, and I'm gonna burn my house down one of these days. I know it. So weed, dabbing, really like the potency, not so thrilled about everything else. Vapes, love, the potency is decent, taste is okay, convenience is through the roof, love that. And then flower is decent in terms of convenience, probably the most affordable in terms of price, and the best in terms of flavor, if you are very into your terpenes. But there's some moderate amount of work, some cleaning. It's probably the harshest for me. Actually doing combustion, so I don't. Any day of the week, I would pick one or the other. In this mode, I'd probably say vapes, though. But, it's very close. And am not unhappy to do any of them, ever. Jude says, what are your thoughts on the corona illness currently affecting life? P.S. I know you can't say the name without a negative response from YouTube. 1, I didn't know that. 2, thank you for letting me know. That's not a bad thing, I guess, on YouTube's part. I can kind of see why they have that policy. What are my thoughts on it? It's that, okay. 1, this is the most important piece of advice that I promise you. I'm not good at giving advice. Don't trust me. The best piece of advice I can give, and it is going to be the best piece of advice, period, is if anybody tries to convince you that they know what the future looks like, whether that be 1 month out, 2 months out, 6 months out, a year out, or 5 years out, if somebody tries to tell you that they know, that they have some predictive powers of where we are going, and we being the collective, as in all of us, they are a bullshit artist. Nobody has any idea where this is headed, where we're going, where we'll end up, or what the world will even look like, a year from now, 5 years from now. It's just impossible. It's impossible to predict. Of course, there are more likely scenarios than the other, but the only piece of advice I can give you, and the best piece of advice I think anybody will give you, is just don't believe anybody who says they can tell you what's going to happen, because they can't. They really can't. Nobody can, because we have never done this before. Sure, there have been pandemics. There have been global pandemics. There was the the Spanish flu. But the world 100 years from ago is as different as the world was 1,000 years ago in 1918 or 1914. You can't imagine. None of us can wrap our heads, begin to understand what the ramifications, the consequences, the downstream effects of this are going to be. It's just there are too many billiard balls in motion right now to have any idea of how the board is going to settle when things stop moving. So that's my main response. My other piece of response is very contradictory to that, which is, do trust those who you listen to, those who have worked their lives to understand how to both navigate these events, how to survive these events, how to reemerge from these kind of things. Just trust what they tell you to do in the moment, because we don't have any, nobody knows better than them. They don't know 100% for sure. There is certainly shit they're getting wrong right now. I can guarantee you there are things that are being told to you right now that 6 months from now, they're going to be like, oh my God, that was a terrible piece of advice. Doesn't matter. It's still the best course of action, because they're going to get it right so much more often than anybody else as to what to do and how to chart these waters right now, that just listen to the experts, and make sure you know who an expert is. Also, make sure you understand, don't listen to authorities, listen to experts. There's a distinction there, and an important one. Don't listen to an authority. The authorities don't know shit. Authorities often will, especially if you live in the United States, the authorities may give you even bad advice. Don't listen to the authority. Listen to the experts. It's the best course of action for literally every person. Coronavirus. There is my coronavirus rant for the moment. Okay. Thoughts on hemp wick. Is that one of the just like sort of wicks made out of hemp that you can use as kind of like a lighter? I'm not 100% sure I know what it is, tardigrade. But if that's it, I've never actually used them, and I have tried, and I've never been able to make it work. But that's probably on me. Joshua Chun says, "Bro, you look different every time I watch your videos. How you been?" I like to mix it up. I like to keep the kids guessing. I like to keep them on their feet. I like to make them think, is that a replicant or not? Is that a lizard person? Is there some lizard under that boy's skin? By just subtly messing with my appearance, it keeps people off balance. But yes, I do. No, I've had haircuts and beard trims a lot recently, so I apologize for looking slightly different. I don't know why. Rants. I did promise some good rants at some point, and I think I've delivered on a couple of decent ones. I don't know if I've really gone extreme yet. There are a couple of topics I'm, just ready to burst at the seams on, but I'll wait till I'm triggered. Jude, thank you again for that advice. I really appreciate you looking out. Unfortunately, though, Jude, again, I really appreciate the advice. It doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, YouTube is not a fan of wheats. We've been deep monetized. That's the term. Twice. Like and I've been banned once, and then was totally reinstated. Like they banned me like 2 years, a year and a half into the project, just out of the blue for no apparent reason. And then after like 2 weeks, they're like, oh, we're sorry. But then they're like, oh, but we don't like you too much, so we're not going to rank your videos very high. And then I was like, okay. And then like a year later, they're like, oh man, we like you again. Come on back. Why'd you ever leave? And I was like, well, maybe you kicked me out. I didn't really want to go. So I was like, nah, man, come on back. So I was like, cool, I'm back. And then like 3 months after that, they're like, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? Weed isn't cool, man. I'm like, okay. So that's the tumultuous history of my history. Tumultuous history of my history with. That's a little redundant, but so is my history with YouTube. Because it just repeats itself. Jude asked, do I use edibles anymore? Yes, I do, Jude. I actually have some in a bag right next to me. Just not necessary in this moment. The tincture's done the job. Jude, but you do, that is a good, you have reason to ask because I don't review as many. I was doing mostly cartridges. And actually, although I do eat a lot of edibles still, I buy very few edibles. I did actually start making my own edibles, about 6 months ago or so in a serious way. I have a Ardent Nova, which I've had for like 2 years, which is a decarber. And then about, 9 months ago or so, I got one of the butter makers, which is just like a heating element and a blender that you put your decarbed weed and butter in. And a couple hours later, you have can of butter. So I've made some many a Betty Crocker cookies. And by me, I mean not me, because I can't be trusted to do that. But I did eat them. So it's kind of like, it's not like I made them, but I was around. And if you're a man, well, that's got to count for something. Okay. Thanks, Jude. I appreciate that, man. I hope to be around for a while still. I hope. It's so weird, Jude, just to get personal with you for a second here. It's very strange. And this always sounds like such a gross, vain thing to say. And again, I apologize, but I have never put an ad on anything. I've had the ability to for a long time, or at different times for long times. I just never did. Would never want to. But it's still like when YouTube's like, oh, you cannot make money with us. It was like, oh man, that sucks. I don't really want to do this anymore. I don't know why. It didn't make it. There was no functional difference in the way I was operating. It was the exact same thing. It was, the net gain was identical, but it just felt like, oh man. I mean, it's just human irrationality, sort of very easily expressed. But even though the result was the exact same both times, it's been like, just dispiriting. But I do hope to be back, even though I have been kicked out again. I have so many videos actually ready to release. I had so many videos ready to release the last time I got kicked off. When I was before, and then I got kicked off, and I was like, well, why do that? Why? YouTube is still going to make money off of what I put out there. I mean, they're still, they don't mind. They'll still run ads on it. So it feels like, man, like I'm doing, I mean, let's be honest, there's never going to be enough people watching my stuff to make it worth it anyways, but like, it still feels like, which, fuck feelings, but like, it's like, I feel like I'm doing free labor for Alphabet, Google. Like, why? They don't need free labor. So yeah, that's why it was dispiriting. It was like, they're like, you're gonna do this anyways, because you have no other choice, and you're still gonna love it, you piece of dog shit. Yeah, that's a story about YouTube and about human irrationality and improperly designed incentive motives. One of the better stories in human history. Tale as old as time. It's like Cinderella or Rocky Balboa. Rocky 2, not the first. I've never seen anything but half of the first Rocky and half of the first Creed and half of the first Rocky reboot the second Rocky reboot called Rocky Balboa. There's also like the son of Rocky. I've seen very few Rocky movies. Basically, I would say against the whole just surprisingly durable franchise, I've seen about one whole Rocky in total. But I've seen about 3 Rambo, and boy, that is the wrong way to do that. If you're going to have to go with one Stallone franchise to invest in, one too long in the tooth Stallone franchise to invest in, go with Rocky. Because I've seen some Rambos, and they are woof. Rocky Balboa. That being said, guys, let's be honest. Let's talk a little Michael B. Jordan and a little oh God, help me out, chat world producer. Michael B. Jordan and director. Michael B. Jordan's director, Fruitvale Station. Ryan Coogler, the Coog. The Coog. The other Coog. Not the Coog, but the Ryan Coog. Sorry, having a conversation with my producer about Ryan Coogler. I should watch Creed because Ryan Coogler is fucking incredible director. The Fruitvale Station, if you guys haven't seen Fruitvale Station, shame on you. Shame on me for not having convinced you to watch Fruitvale. Shame on me for not having convinced you guys, let's get this out correctly, to watch Fruitvale Station if you haven't. So I don't know how we started talking about Rocky or Creed or Ryan Coogler or Rambo, but I think the point we were trying to make is how the fuck are there so many Rocky movies? Okay, where are we? Party Rocker Hater says, Party Rock Hater, would you ever do a West Coast Cure Pod review? Yes, I would. You are not also the first person to ask about those. I have seen them. I know a dispensary that has them. And they sound interesting. They are now licensed out as well, West Coast, because they're a super popular brand. Our boy General Mattel is back. Welcome back, General Mattel. Snake Eyes. That's the only G.I. Joe name I know. Dutch. Duke. Channing Tatum. I don't even know if General Mattel has anything to do with G.I. Joe. It sounds like Mattel, I think that's who makes G.I. Joe. General, Mattel, G.I. Joe, Snake Eyes, Channing Tatum, done. Magic Mike. Oh, because we haven't done this enough. I'm sure I've bitched about this enough, but it's my favorite. One of my top 10 favorite hobby horses, and that is the beguiling, weird, and incredibly inconsistent filmography of Steven Soderbergh. I don't remember why we started talking about Steven Soderbergh. Hey, producer, do you remember why? There was something about Steven Soderbergh.
No.
Damn it.
You just started.
I'm accused of just starting it randomly. I don't think that's actually true. No, there was some reason that Steven Soderbergh came up.
Pandemic? Contagion?
No, but that does make sense, and that does figure into this conversation. Magic Mike! Oh my God, producer, Magic Mike. Channing Tatum, Magic Mike. That's the topic. Steven Soderbergh, Magic Mike, and the beguiling, weird, and incredibly inconsistent filmography of Steven Soderbergh. Weird guy.
Sex, lies, and videotape.
But also Ocean's 12. And Big Short's malnourished cousin, the dry cleaner, or whatever the hell it was called. That Gary Oldman, Antonio Banderas, Panama Papers movie. That was not very good. But then again, he also has Contagions, which... The laundromat, thank you, producer. And it is so weird that Contagion is it's a cultural phenomenon right now. It's like one of the highest selling movies routinely on iTunes every week. I have sung that movie's praises for years. I think that movie is incredible, and it just has that Soderbergh magic to it, and Soderbergh, but then the guy also makes Ocean's 12, which is the worst movie ever made. So, and then he also makes weird fucking shit like Logan Lucky that I am not really sure if who it's making fun of. I feel like me, but I mean that's not hard to do. Steven Soderbergh. What are we going to ultimately say about Steven Soderbergh? Watch The Informant. Oh my God. Secret best Steven Soderbergh movie. Matt Damon's The Informant. Watch that. And then watch Ocean's 12 and think, why did I do that to myself? And then, oh my God. Producer, I just saw somebody's comment said, I thought it said, have you gone insane? Hello, by the way, is it Dathy? I'm sorry, I know I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, and I'm sorry. But yes, I have seen Unsane with Claire Foy, and that is a classic Soderbergh, low budget, crackerjack of a movie, right? Like, he does these small scale, tiny little things so well that are just. And Unsane, isn't it filmed entirely on an iPhone? I think maybe something like that. He does weird shit like that too for no reason, but it's cool. And Unsane, it's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a fun, interesting, different little movie that he's made tons of. Including probably my favorite of those before what movie am I thinking of? Steven Soderbergh's Small Side Effects, the other Channing Tatum one with Rooney Mara. That movie's amazing. It's this kind of dumb little potboiler thriller, but it's so fun and it's so stupid, and it's like unbelievable twists that you gotta appreciate it staring. But then you watch things like Ocean's 12 and you're like, does this man have functioning human emotions? And you're not quite sure. So, Tardigrade says, what do you think of Wes Anderson? Hey, Tardigrade, let me ask you this. I'm white. I have a beard, long hair. I'm smoking weed. And I'm talking about Steven Soderbergh's filmography. What do you think my opinion on Wes Anderson is? I'm going to do some more tincture while you come up with an answer. Because it's a tough one. Hey, ask me again. Ask me again. I have a great answer to that question. Tardigrade says, do you like Wes Anderson movies? And I'll say, do the Owens have a third brother? That's my answer. We're doing some more thinker. We have to go to the embarrassing step where I kind of hot that. Well, let your thinker set in. Just a little bit longer. You get a free dance. You have to provide your own music, though. Oh, Jude, you almost got me. I was about to come in with well, actually, there is a third Owen brother. His name's Andrew. And he's the one... what is there to say about Andrew Wilson? Luke Wilson. Owen Wilson. It's good. Wes Anderson makes good movies. I am not, however, boy, it took me a long time to actually answer the question. I'm not as totally enamored with Wes Anderson as some people who like, he is their aesthetic god, and aesthetics are the only thing that matter to them. I actually like Wes Anderson's like kids movies the most, I guess. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Whew, that movie is amazing. So good. But like his fussier movies, your Darjeeling Limiteds, like, ugh, no thanks. I could do without. But give me a Rushmore any day of the week. I could watch Rushmore right now. I to be honest, I should be watching Rushmore right now.
What's the kids camp?
Shit. Yeah, that's the midnight. No, moonlight, mid-morning moon. The moon's over my hammy. Edward Norton.
And then you didn't name what's it? Island of Dogs.
Island of Dogs. Yes, thank you. Well, I'm too high to actually think of the names and ideas of these movies. I just had this idea in my head that he makes kids movies, and I like those. Because the other ones are too complicated for me. Tardigrade says he really likes Bottle Rocket. I'm sure if you're a Wes Anderson fan, Tardigrade, I'm not gonna drop this knowledge bomb on you, but I love it. It's one of my favorites. It's that Bottle Rocket has the distinction of being, I think it was Columbia at the time. Check my math. It was notorious for having the lowest audience test reactions in their entire history, and I think still does. You can understand why. You probably were watching that movie, and if you didn't know what to expect, especially from a major studio, you would be like, "What the fuck is this?" But it was a notoriously hated movie by mass audiences, and it was, nobody had really heard of Wes Anderson until Rushmore. And Bottle Rocket has since been sort of critically reclaimed, I guess, right? Like, people revere it now, but its genesis is much more sort of controversial. I haven't seen it in forever, though. I remembered liking it when I watched it, but I don't think I've seen it since I was like in college, sometime in there, when everybody, has to watch all the Wes Anderson movies to be cool. When you've grown out of your Richard Kelly phase, your freshman year. So I did some tincture. Did I do this? Did I do the bong? Or I did one, and then I just stopped. I don't know why. That seems, how long ago was that? 3 hours, 4 hours? Tardigrade says that the Darjeeling Limited is his funniest movies. That is probably true. I haven't seen it since it came out, and I remembered, unfortunately, watching it at like 11 o'clock at night, seeing like an 11 p.m. showing and being kind of like, should not, even when you're 20, I was like, this is not the perfect time to see this movie. This is more of a time to be watching Netflix, which doesn't exist yet. Well, it existed as DVDs, but couldn't instant stream yet. I should give it another shot, though, because I know it's another one. It has its fans, but I just wasn't in love with it when I watched it. And again, I'm sorry, I still don't know exactly how to say your name, Dathy. But he recommends, or she recommends, Behind the Candelabra is worth a watch, too. I have heard that. I know I've not seen it myself. It's the Liberace movie, right? With Michael Douglas. Oh, yes, as you said, Michael Douglas. I like me some Mikey Douglas. And it's Matt Damon, too, right? They're boys, right? Soderbergh and Matt Damon, because of the Ocean's movies and the Secret Best Soderbergh movie, The Informant, which I don't understand why people don't love more. It's such a good movie. Looks like the Thescalo says, "Hey man, love the beard. Hey man, love the attitude. Thanks for joining us. Happy 420 to you. I'm shot is the proper term, Thescalo. Voices, woo! But we're having a blast. We're talking about Steven Soderbergh. We're talking about Wes Anderson. Can you have any more appropriate directors with weed? Yes, you can. Of course. What are you guys' favorite stoner movies? Like, not movies to watch while you're stoned, but movies about stoners, like quintessential stoner movies, your Cheeches and Chongs and things of that ilk. So not, not don't get all cerebral with me with your upstream colors or your fucking Fellini shit or whatever. I mean, I'm a Harold and Kumar guy, or Half Baked is my jam. What do you guys go to if you need your perfect stoner comedy? Me, I think I'd go Harold and Kumar. I think it's going to be Harold and Kumar for me. A second close behind is going to be this tiny little, from like 2004, 2005, Anna Faris movie, the chick from Scary Movies, called Happy Face. It's a under the radar classic. Let me see if I can't find a link. I don't know the last time I've watched it. Happy Face, is that it? Anna Faris. Yes, no, Smiley Face, excuse me, from 2007. I'm wrong on all accounts. But what a great, surprising little stoner movie out of nowhere. But what a wonderful little subgenre of movies, the stoner movie. Such a strange but great subset, and a rite of passage for so many people. I assume so many people have gotten high for the very first time watching one of my more Leave It stoner movies, Super Troopers, for example. Okay, so here's what we got in chat. Well, Thescalo's a big Wes Anderson fan. He's loved Grand Budapest Hotel. As did I. One of my, definitely top 5 Wes Anderson movies. But we're also now talking stoner movies. We've got another vote for Harold and Kumar. Thescalo contributing with a forgotten classic. I mean, I can't believe it didn't come up immediately. Pineapple Express, which would probably be a runner-up. That or... actually, how did I forget about the whole Apatovian genre? All of them are great. All of them. I could watch any one of them. But Pineapple Express and This Is the End are probably the two best and most stoner specific. Pineapple Express, man. What a delightful movie. That was way before I smoked weed, though. Had not smoked weed in... Oh, God. Hands up, keyboard. August 2nd, in the year of our Lord, 2006 or 7. Oh, 7. I'm going to say August 2nd, 2007 is the release date of Pineapple Express. It's my one X-Men power, guys. But I'm going to be humiliated if I got it wrong. So, yeah, Pineapple Express, man. Such a great movie. I'm so surprised that none of those ever had any... And also kind of delighted that none of them ever had sequels of any kind. There's no Pineapple Express 2. There's no This Is the End 2. There is a Neighbors 2. An unappreciated Neighbors 2. But that's about it. When did August 6, 2008. Humiliating. I'm ashamed of myself. God damn it. God damn it. But Pineapple Express, man, great movie. Came out like the week before or after the Simpsons movie or something. What a time for comedy. What a time to be alive. First time seeing Bill Hader, I remember. He's the poor, unfortunate soldier experimented on in the beginning. Which, do you guys watch Barry? Fuck. Such a good show. Okay. Brother Dank. Oh, Brother Dank with a classic. Brother Dank. Man, you guys are making me realize again how wonderful and wide and also generally pleasant and heartwarming the stoner genre is, because Brother Dink coming in with the amazing recommendation of Dazed and Confused, a movie that I love so much, like so many others. But goddamn, great stoner movie. Davey also brings up it's a mad show. Is that a movie? I'm not sure I even know what that is, if that's a stoner comedy. Philip Baca bringing it up in for, of course, and letting me know. Pronounced Dahi. Dahi. Irish for David. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you letting me know that. And, again, happy 420 to you. And, wow. I didn't know that the Irish had a different way to pronounce David. Is that Irish or is that Gaelic? Is that offensive? Is that an offensive question? Probably both. No, it can't be both. Well, maybe. I don't know. Wait, Brother Dank, you're kidding about Dazed and Confused? You don't like Dazed and Confused? How dare you? Who can't be charmed by Matthew McConaughey and the birth of all right, all right, all right? Or such lines as, I like high school chicks. I get older, but they say the same age. Oh, man, so good. So creepy. So weird. All right, all right, all right. Ben Affleck's in that movie, too. He's a jock. Dahi says, Midnight Express, not really a stoner movie, but he gets caught with hash. Midnight Express. I'm going to have to do a quick Googling of the Midnight Express, not the Pineapple Express. From 1978. Okay. I've never seen it. It looks pretty good, though. Ooh, about a man in a Turkish prison. You know that's going to be an unpleasant experience. I still have to kind of stop and remind myself fairly frequently that weed is not legal. We kid ourselves out here on the West Coast and in Colorado and, you know, the myriad other states, but this shit is still illegal. It's still a class 1 narcotic. And how nobody gives a shit out here, but that there are still places where you can be an American, ostensibly the same creed of person that I am, and you could be doing this exact same thing that I'm doing right now, and seeing the quantity of weed that I actually have here could go to jail for years. How weird is that? And also, why is that? Why, though? But, like, not just as, like, a passing, that's weird, or that's kind of unjust, but, like, really stop. Just stop for a second and think to yourself how weird that is. How bizarre it is that, and it gets even weirder if you're on bordering states, right? There are places in this country where next door neighbors one person could do this exact same thing that I'm doing, and it could be celebrated. People could enjoy it and join in and celebrate with, and harm, and just have a pleasant evening in, having fun conversations and getting a little stupid. But, good, harmless fun. But there are places in this place in the United States, next door neighbors, where for some reason that just because there's some invisible boundary, that this thing that is virtually celebrated in one state could get you then imprisoned for years, a substantial percentage of your entire life for doing the exact same thing. How do people who purport to be in our justice system, like if you're a judge, no matter where you are, how do you continue to endorse a system like where that is a valid outcome? Like, how do you not think to yourself, oh, fuck, like, shit, we've done this whole thing wrong. Like, we've, it's not just weed, but I'm using weed as an example here. But like, how does that contradiction not make you just stop, hit the brakes for a second and go, wait a second, what is even the point of a justice system anyways? Like, well, how can it be celebrated in 1 millimeter here, and then if you just move 1 millimeter across an invisible barrier, it is seen as very criminal? How do people square that circle? Like, I just don't get it. Yeah, man, it's one of those things that just makes you think, I'm afraid, sometimes I'm afraid that people, and this might be a controversial thing to say, sometimes I'm afraid people maybe don't think about things as much as they should. I know that's a harsh judgment on people, but like, maybe like when you encounter a contradiction in your belief system, or like you find something where there's insanely disparate outcomes for insanely disparate legal outcomes for identical acts, like maybe you should think to yourself, like, oh wait, well, what are those laws for then? Like, what are they serving? How can it be good here and here it's bad? Like, what changed in that invisible line? But just like stop and just stop for a little bit and just sit with that those kind of contradictions. I wish people would do that, like, and think, man, okay, well, let's change some things then. But we don't like change. Except spare change. 9/11 was an inside job. Hashtag YouTube conspiracy documentaries. Hashtag nostalgic YouTube bullshit, grotesque conspiracy theories. Wow. The simple, heady times where you could go on YouTube and all they would do is try to convince you that George Bush planned 9/11. Nothing worse than that. Man, I'd do anything to go back to the just sort of now kind of naive and almost gleeful days of like, wow, 9/11 truthers, those people are nuts. Because it wasn't it wasn't the end result of anything. It was it was the end result of a lot of things, but it was also just the beginning of a whole lot of craziness to come. So, boy, truthers, laws, man, they're just. Ask these questions to yourself when you're not high too, but like really ask yourself. Just really think about it. Not you. All of you guys are fine. You all know. You of course all know. But I'm talking about the Alabamians, the Alabamians, whatever you call yourself if you're from Alabama, cockroach, whatever. If you're from Florida, if you're from Mississippi, just ask yourself some questions sometimes. Just say, just on occasion, just ask some questions. That's all I ask. Boy, sorry for the rant again, says, Thescalo says, gotta come to Canada, man. It's legal here. Thescalo, there's so many reasons to come to Canada. So many reasons. And I'm just sick and tired of, I'm really tired of having, I'm a pussy, sorry for using that word, I'm a big ass coward because I always say like, oh man, feel free to express yourself, feel free to say what you really believe, don't hold back. But I kind of don't feel like it anymore. I kind of feel like just saying what's real, like that, fuck being afraid of internet comment trolls, right? Sometimes just fuck it, like, and say just say some more honest type things, like your nation humbles and shames ours in every possible way, every day of the week, and I am ashamed. I'm ashamed of our country's behavior, and it's disgusting. It's fucking disgusting what is happening. Not between just the United States and Canada, but every single country in the world, bar some Soviet people who are getting buddy again. It's just fucked up, and United States of America it has been for a while. You just weren't allowed to say it. You're not allowed to say it now, but it's fine. The United States of America is, at this point, a failed state. It is. It's a failed state. We're first world Somalia is what the United States is. You're kidding yourself if you think otherwise. The only thing that's changed is how much you have to hide it. Like, it's just, there are parts of the United States that are. I lived in close proximity to many of these people. I would. It's so hard not to get into to be accused of hyperbole, but that in and of itself is one of the many weapons of the ruling class is to just call everything, call all truth hysteria. when you point out something that is empirically true, just label it being hysterical. People respond to that. That's calling somebody hysterical, saying like, dude, calm down. You're being crazy. You're being hysterical. You're being nuts. It's a psychological superpower. You overwrite people's sense of reason when you label somebody like, dude, you're being crazy right now. People who were once agreeable to that argument think, oh, well, maybe this guy is just being off his rocker. Maybe he's just making a mountain out of a molehill. It's one of the many nefarious psychological superpowers that is currently eroding global unity, public trust, trust in government, trust in your neighbor, trust in the truth. Just accusing people of hysterical is such of just being dramatic. It's so powerful. It just inserts that doubt into people's head where it wasn't before, and it's very similar to the most powerful psychological hack that we have discovered. I mean, people have known it forever because humans have been doing this forever, but it has just been now rediscovered as a political tool, and it hasn't been used this way in democracies ever, in free countries, and that is a lie is a lie until you say it 1,000 times, which is, you can just say things enough to that you will it to be true in people's brains. You can the just repeating lies enough, just over and over and over and over and over verbatim, just especially if it's short, sweet, and is kind of a zippy or has like a good cadence to it or something, like no collusion or it was a perfect phone call or build the wall, something like that. If you can just be super reductive, like no collusion, it's a perfect one. You can even when people know it's a lie, even when they 100% know it to be a lie, if you just keep repeating it over and over again with confidence and attack anybody who dares assert, who dares go after that person's credibility, who's just making it a lie. If you just attack them, even when people know that is a lie, they will slowly, helplessly, psychologically be unable to help themselves not to think, at least to themselves, well, there must be something to it. If there's no, people aren't conditioned, human beings aren't designed evolutionarily to have, to not believe people if they tell you things over and over and over again confidently enough. It is what makes humans work. The fact that we all believe shared fiction, shared lies, all that shit, it is what makes society work. But we've always told ourselves good stories, or we've always used, not always, but recently, in modern history, we've tried to use that ability that we just lie to each other and believe lies if you just repeat them enough. We've tried to use that to elevate our position. But recently, certain politicians have realized that you can do that just for naked ambition's sake. And I don't know what to do about that, because it doesn't, it works. It works even on the people who know better. Even when they know that they are actively being deceived, it still works. And it is just a flaw of our evolutionary biology. The way humans have been designed by evolutionary forces is to want to believe others because humans survive best when they cooperate with others. But now that we know you can... So I just don't know. I don't know what happens going forward. But you can be rest assured that the worst is yet to come. You ain't seen nothing yet, people. You ain't seen nothing yet. Rant over. Cool. Dahi, I hope I remembered that correctly. Sorry for the rant, guys. Going back to chat says, you are very lucky to be able to walk into a shop and buy cannabis. Laws are definitely outdated when it comes to cannabis. Yes, I understand. I'm incredibly lucky here. I just wish everybody in the United States had the same opportunity that I do because, hey, we're all Americans, and if that doesn't mean that we share the same moral foundations, I don't know what it means to be an American. So, Cluisco says, hey bro, I haven't seen you in a while. Nice to see the beard again, and looks like you lost some weight too. Well, thanks, man. Yeah, getting back to my fighting weight. I'm the one kind of person that being stuck at home, quarantined, is very good for me and my disposition. Like, I'm walking more, eating better, just because don't have those other stresses right now. But thanks for the kind words, man. Glad you can make it. Dahi says, oh, okay. Whew. Resting those vocal cords now after I went on a big long rant. And I'm sorry to anybody well, actually, I don't. That's the problem. I shouldn't apologize. I shouldn't say I'm sorry to anybody I offended, because I meant it. Like, if you don't think of America as a well, no, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Cool. God bless America. 4th of July, firecrackers, George Washington, 10 Commandments, Bill of Rights, in God we trust, e pluribus anus. Amen. Carlos S., my man. Right back at you, Carlos. Whew. All right, guys, I think after that last, probably going to get me in some real trouble rant. Don't tell anybody who's easily riled about that. You know, it might get me in trouble. So don't tell anybody, because people get real mad. That's okay. I don't actually mind when people get mad at me. I actually kind of like it when people get mad. I really gets me in my game, my zone. But Philip Baca says, it's your show. Be proud. Thank you for that, Philip. I'm glad you said that. I am. I don't care. I'm happy to have said what I said. We'll all be better. Everybody here in this chat right now, I feel like we're all on the same page. We all just want what's best for everybody. We all just want what's best for everybody, and that's great. So I'm going to go rest my voice. I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to go enjoy this luxurious high. You guys have a wonderful 420 yourselves. I'm going to have a great 420 this rest of this evening. You too. Goodbye. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.